Thank you for joining us. Molecular medicine is a branch of medicine that develops ways to diagnose and treat diseases by understanding the way genes, proteins, and other cellular molecules work. And it involves a lot of research. Molecular medicine shows how basic science is translated from theory to treatment, and key areas of focus include cancer, neuroscience, genetic diseases. Embracing this form of medicine could bring about breakthroughs in treatment of life-threatening diseases like cancer, which continues to claim many lives in developing nations. With me in the studio to talk about advancement in molecular medicine, its relevance, and much more is the General Manager, MyLabs, Dr. Folasade Olugbemi Paul. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, in layman terms, let's break it down for a lot of persons to understand. Help us better understand what molecular medicine is about. Layman's terms, such that anybody who's watching understands.
You summarized it quite well. Most people know what DNA tests are, what DNA is.
Okay.
That the genetic makeup, the very the strands that make us who we are. It's the basic. It's the small. It's the smallest unit as such that we can use. To explain who we are. It wraps up everything. It defines everything that makes us up. I mean, from how you look to, sometimes even how you behave, how you respond to medicines. It's a very interesting aspect of medicine, really. And it's at the edge of so many of the breakthroughs. It's responsible for vaccines. Very interesting aspect of medicine.
And it seems the world is tilting towards, perhaps this is why they call it personalized medicine, so to speak, because it focuses on everything about you. And it seems that's the way the world is tilting towards with regards to medicine. And I'm wondering how much of a difference this is bringing to medicine, our wellness, our well-being, basically.
A whole lot. I mean, take cancer, for example. How you respond to certain medications, some interventions. We could tailor now, in medicine, we could tailor treatments directly for you. Gene therapy, for example, in sickle cell treatments, in diagnosing, prenatal screenings, newborn screenings. It's very exciting, really, honestly. A lot of medicine can actually be, tailored to you now, unlike before, how it used to be previously. It's very exciting. It's at the edge of everything.
Right. So when we are saying that this is all about you as an individual, we've seen the controversies, excuse me, that has arisen as a result to, you mentioned earlier, DNA testing, paternity test, and all of it. We've seen the controversies and all of that. Well, let us bring it back to how we want to leverage on this. We know that Africa comes to the party late when it comes to improvements in anything, technology, medicine, whatever it is. Tell us how the world is, how Africa, before we bring it back home to Nigeria, is embracing molecular medicine.
Unfortunately, for most of Africa and Nigeria, these investigations tend to be expensive. Not affordable for a lot of people at the bottom of the pyramid, unfortunately, and that makes it kind of exclusive to some degree. I think that we're embracing it just fine for those of us who have access to it, and that's what we're trying to do. Create access, make it accessible, make it affordable to people by improving volume, the number of people who can actually access these investigations. At the end of the day, when more of us are doing these things, when more of us are requesting these investigations, getting them done, it reduces just how expensive it is, makes it more affordable.
Really?
Yes, it does. The reagents, for example, used in these investigations are quite expensive. And if only one person requires this investigation, it then makes it, not really profitable for people, for laboratories to get involved in it. And so, it becomes very difficult for them to just put it on their roster of investigations to run routinely. So that's a challenge for the industry. However, it is getting easier because now more people are aware of it. I mean, for example, DNA tests for paternity, peace of mind test.
Peace of mind test. Is that what we call it now?
That's what we call. That's what we refer to it as.
Does it really bring about peace of mind?
I would say it's better to know sometimes.
Really?
Like being HIV positive, just know that you are, so that you can then start to mitigate against whatever might arise. You know.
We've seen how that has caused a lot or wreaked a lot of havoc to some homes. And I mean, is that peace of mind?
It's not what's wreaking havoc. It's the behavior that led to the necessity of the investigation that caused the havoc. The investigation is just unearthing truth, you know. And at the end of the day, that's what science is about, unearthing truth. So you can't really blame the tests. I would just say that you know, and then of course there's the legal implications of all these things. So it's just better to be in the know, to be aware of you know, the people in your life, so to speak.
Right.
But beyond paternity investigations, for example, there's newborn screenings. In this environment, a lot of the times you just deliver your baby and then you go home. There you go. Here's your kid. Have a very nice party. And then sometimes the kid comes up with jaundice, you know, within a week and all that. Some of the causes of jaundice are things that you could actually screen for, like G6PD deficiency, galactosemia, you know, just easy breezy things that you could actually screen for.
So as soon as the baby is born,
yes,
it can be screened.
Can be screened. Babies are screened elsewhere in the world. It's down here that we don't do it. So it speaks to just what you said earlier on about how
we come late to the party.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, simple things aren't done because, you know, we're resource limited. But for those who actually have, I mean, even people who aren't resource limited are just not aware. So there's an information gap and then there's a resource gap, you know. So for the most part, I think now more people are getting aware. When I had my daughter, for example, I had her screened for something that I otherwise wouldn't have if I wasn't aware. You know, but it was really difficult getting the screening done, and I'm very thankful to that hospital for actually, you know, it was like, because I'm a doctor, so maybe I was requesting, you know, but they did assist and went above and beyond. But a lot of other people wouldn't have been aware, and so they would have gone home. You know, my baby's fine, by the way, absolutely. But you know, it just speaks to the importance of newborn screenings that we as mothers, you know, as people can request for, that we're not aware that we have access to, and that's what we're trying to do, create the access to be able to run these investigations for people who are interested in running them. They're just wellness checks.
Right.
Yes.
Very, very critical aspect that you have spoken about, which I wanted to harp on, the fact that a lot of persons are not aware. Information. How are we getting that out to a lot of people? Well, you'd say that this is one of the ways to get that out to people. Because a lot of mothers, after having their babies, they realize so many things begin to spring up. They have to deal with one or two health issues. And if they had screened as quickly as possible, perhaps as soon as they had the baby, right? They
might have been aware and able to mitigate against whatever challenges might have occurred. That's a very helpful thing.
Right.
That we
so within how many weeks of birth?
Oh, neonatal screenings are done just, in neonates is the baby less than 28 days old. So immediately your baby is born. Within a week, 2 weeks, you get the test done, you get the results.
All right. So beyond the DNAs, that's the paternity tests, peace of mind test, as you call it, neonatal test. What other tests can be carried out with molecular medicine?
Oh, a lot. Urine disorders, you know, prenatal screenings. Before you even get married, I mean, for example, you're told to do, you know, your genotype. And,
yes,
you know, so all of those kinds of tests can be done. There are tumor markers. For example, if you have a family history of cancer, so maybe there's somebody in your family who's had breast cancer, prostate cancer, you can screen for those tumor markers. You can screen for the BRCA1, BRCA2 gene. There's some genes that you can actually screen for. And then, you know, if, for example, as a woman, it's not until you have lumps in your breast that you can then go for those investigations. If you have a positive family history of cancer, you could very easily just request for that test, get it done. Even the COVID test is a DNA PCR test. Yeah, the expensive one, you know, the one that a lot of people are actually requesting. Those are all molecular tests.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, there's something that My Labs is doing to ensure accessibility.
Oh, absolutely.
So, talk to us about that.
So we have an app coming that we're launching, hopefully, and we're on schedule, so that's really good, for the 1st of November. That's in about 2 weeks. So if you were to download the app, you'd be able to very easily pick a test, that you want to do, book it, and the app helps you to, select a lab that's very close to you for a collection center, and then you go there, get your sample collected, easy peasy, you go home. You would have provided an address while registering to use the app, and then an email address, and then you get your investigation sent directly to you, confidentially, very nicely.
Well, that's another aspect that I want us to talk about. Confidentiality.
Okay.
Because there's this issue of we not being able to manage data. And so the aspect of my information being out there, isn't that a challenge?
Not really for us. So our app is secure. We've gone through a lot, and because I've been the lead on this, I can assure you we've gone through a lot of sleepless nights to make sure that doesn't happen. There are codes that will be sent. It's quite confidential and secure. I promise that.
Outside of what it is that you are trying to achieve, how about the places that these tests are carried out?
Okay, for a person who is worried and doesn't even want to go to a collection center, you have the option to get somebody to come to you for a tiny bit of an extra fee, really small, really, and the person comes to you to get the test sample collected.
Right. Now that we know that, okay, all of this can be taken care of, because these are some concerns that a lot of persons have with regards to embracing molecular medicine and all the tests, because there's also the legal aspect where people are saying, you didn't inform me before you went to do some of these things. There's, this issue. It's
you doing the test, so who are you informing?
I know.
Or you mean with a paternity test,
maybe there are other issues that things come up, legal issues.
Yeah.
It springs up.
For that aspect, I'll leave that for the lawyers to deliberate upon. But what I would say is, for the peace of mind test, you just know. After you've done the peace of mind test and you decide to take maybe further steps, maybe legal steps, I would suggest that you contact your lawyer. I mean, those are the things that we're actually going to be talking about on our app and also on our Instagram handle. We're going to do a lot of Instagram live, a lot of explanations and all that, but you would have the options on what to do. You would have a bit of
now beyond
an idea.
I'm looking beyond, because this is something we're looking at Nigerians embracing it.
Absolutely, yes.
So it is beyond what
just us,
just you. Yeah. So these are the issues that have come up. How are people going to handle it? Privacy, legal matters, and some other challenges that perhaps you foresee with regards to embracing molecular medicine in Nigeria?
Well, I mean, every new technology is difficult for people to accept, but what I would say is everybody should just keep an open mind. If it's not just DNA paternity test, for example, it's the newborn screenings and all the other ones, and I would just like to enjoin people to just do the investigations that you need to do. Don't be, I wouldn't say don't be too concerned about the data leaks, because I don't envisage having data leaks on our app. But I would just say that it's important for people to do their investigations and not let fear hinder them from, going after the truth.
It is important to know.
To know, yes. I mean, if you're HIV positive, it's important to know. Not just so that you don't infect other people, for example, but so that you take proper care of yourself. If your baby's got something going on genetically, it's important to know. And not just so that you could take care of your, not just so you could know, but so that you can plan, so that you can take care of your child, so that you can save, so that you can work, in advance to prevent any other problems from arising. So that's the importance of knowledge, of truth, of knowing. And so I would promote that people know. Don't be hindered by fear.
As Africans, it's
we love to be scared, but we need to work on it as a people.
It's always a challenge when it comes to knowing certain things, and then the aspect of discrimination. When you get to know, and people get to know, how do we ensure that people are not discriminated against?
I would ask, if you have a family history of cancer, and
for instance,
and you screen, how would somebody discriminate against you for that?
We've seen so many issues of discrimination.
Really unkind. I mean, well, yeah, human nature has a lot of room for unkindness, but I would think that most people would be decent enough to respect your decision to want to screen. If your mother had cancer and then you want to screen, I would hope that people would see how sound such judgment is, to screen and then be proactive. Like Angelina Jolie, I mean, she just went and had a mastectomy even before she had any signs or symptoms of cancer. And I think that's a very bold step.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, because it couldn't have been an easy decision, but now she would never have breast cancer because, I mean, where's the breast tissue?
Yeah.
So it's judgments like that, it's decisions like that you can take to be proactive and prevent illness, or at least prevent serious consequences from possible illness. That's why you do the investigation. So it would be remiss of anybody to just...
No, we even see what happened during the COVID-19 when it began, when a lot of persons were said to have tested positive. Some people did not want to come out for fear of being discriminated against. We saw how it went.
Which is very interesting. I mean, I mean, as a healthcare provider, at the height of the COVID crisis, I would say I was pretty scared. And that's me, with all of the medical knowledge and the experience. So I would think that the average person would have been mortified really about being positive. And then also people who weren't positive or who weren't tested yet would have been really scared. I know that a lot of people were very scared to get tested, even with the symptoms being classic. But it wouldn't stop you from catching it if you test or you don't test.
Right.
What it would stop if you were to test and then you're positive is it would help you isolate. When I had COVID, I was able to isolate because I was sure I had COVID. So I was able to stay away from people. I was able to just, prevent it from spreading within my family or to my loved ones or to my friends. It helps you plan. You test, you're positive, go lock yourself up somewhere, stay away so that your family is safe, so that your loved ones are safe. It helps you plan. That's what it does.
That's what
it does. It just exposes
getting
your
to
truth.
know
Yes, that's
for
what
whatever it
does.
is that you are testing for. That is what it does for you.
That's what it does for you.
You are helping your family and helping.
It doesn't change your reality that you tested.
Right.
It would have been there whether you tested or you did not test. It's just there. But at least having all the facts allows you to explore your options. What are you going to do about it?
Now, with the way the health system is in Nigeria, because that's always, it's a major concern for a lot of persons. Yes. Are we ready to really embrace molecular medicine? Are we ready to put structures in place? Because it involves a lot, like you have mentioned, perhaps. Is Nigeria ready for these kinds of development to help move the health sector forward?
I would say we cannot afford to not be ready.
We cannot afford.
No, we have to be very proactive. We're already behind as it is. We have challenges to having molecular laboratories down here, domiciled here, because, well, for one, there's power supply, there's cold chain issues. I would say, however, that there is no challenge we cannot overcome if we really want to overcome them, and that's what we're trying to do at My Labs. We're not trying to wait for somebody else to provide solutions. We're trying to be very proactive and think outside the box and just deconstruct everything.
But there is the place of government.
Reasonable. Yes, policies and making things easy and affordable and tax reviews and all that would probably help. But I wouldn't ask Nigerians to just wait for God, because we don't have a very good track record. When we wait for the government to do things for us, unfortunately. So I would just say that each person always try to think about what can you do to move this thing forward if it's the sector that you're in. And as we are in the health sector, that's our business. We are doing everything we can to, think about what we can do. And of course, we will be very happy to partner with the government to do, great things that would help Nigerians. We are Nigerian. We are African at the end of the day. It's where our interests lie.
Absolutely. And there comes the question of qualified personnel to handle all these things, because we see how people have been moving out in droves.
Honestly, everybody asks why I'm still here.
Oh, really?
You get asked a lot why you're still here.
Right.
And It's because
You're
I
a
believe,
patriotic Nigerian.
yeah, I try to be. Even when, you know, the country keeps breaking your heart every day, you just keeping on, really. I try to be. As a doctor, it's not very easy to be here because you don't get your just due. But, you know, there's a lot of awareness about the issues, so people cannot say that, you know, our challenges as doctors is you know, is, I don't know, unjustified.
Right.
I would say that at the end of the day, there are still enough qualified people. You know, you just have to pay them well. And
with regards to
yes.
driving this molecular
Yes.
medicine.
And wherever you were to go,
Yeah.
wherever you were to go to try to access this care, you'd probably find Nigerians there. So the problem is not finding the right people who could do this. The problem is motivating them well enough. And I think our people are quite motivated at my labs. So I can speak for us. I can speak for the larger community. But it's a very rewarding field to be in. And so I would say that, you know, I personally am quite satisfied.
The reason why you are not getting out, yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Folasade Olugbemi,
My pleasure.
for your time on the program. This is where we'll leave the conversation. Thank you so much.
All right.